All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Okay, Mr. Beal.
Mr. Haran.
I want to make a motion that...
Oh, Mr. Rand, no discussion, no decision.
For the record, no action was taken in attorney-client session.
Okay.
I want to make a motion that the town adjourn the public hearing to give the town an opportunity to respond to Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development's inaccurate analysis of the action that we have discussed this evening. Our position is to repeal 240-50. We do not believe that the comments received from Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development are accurate within their analysis of the comprehensive plan. And also by adjourning the public hearing to the January 9th meeting, it will also give the public further opportunity to provide public comment in writing to this town board in the meantime.
Second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Have a happy holiday.
Okay. The next discussion, Chris, I guess you have here adding section 3, item 13, the town board rules. Oh, yeah, we probably should table those. Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion that we table Resolution 2022-168 and 2022-169.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing the motion passed. Also, I want to add that since Councilwoman Bettina is not here tonight, and there's been some statements it's in her ward, I think it is appropriate for us to make sure that she's here when she's able to attend, for the record. Okay. So moving to the discussion, we have public portion. So I have a motion to open the public portion on the remaining items.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So if anybody has any comments with respect to the other items on the agenda, then please let us know. And I think when we get to item later on, with respect to the application, that will also be tabled in light of the table for the adjournment of the public hearing. Okay, so if there's any comments on any other item, please come up to the podium, identify yourself.
I'm Bernadette Bodie again. I would just want to recommend or request that maybe you consider issuing a moratorium on accepting any applications on these types of projects until this can be resolved. Just if you put something across, then that might offer some protection just against other people slipping projects in, going back to when you began discussing this months ago.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly will discuss. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
If we can just have, Paul, can you shut the doors back there on both sides, just because, you just shut the doors and we'll be good. Yeah, there you go. On the other side too. Thank you. Just a little tough to hear.
Yeah. And tough on the recording.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's move on. Item number 1, Chris, you had
Make a
Okay.
motion to close the public portion. Second.
motion second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed.
We had been operating under the assumption that agenda items had to have a town board sponsor. Through this whole ordeal we've been through so far, we found out that it's not true, and I'd like to add that to the town board rules.
So it's part of the bylaw process that we do on the reorg meeting on the 9th?
You want to do it then,
Yeah.
or you want to do it now? It's up to you.
So,
We'll defer.
under discussion, so my understanding was, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it was just actionable items had to have a town board member sponsor to get on the agenda? No? It was just anybody?
So,
Do you remember? Barbara? Yeah, I don't have an objection.
No, I have no objection, Barb. Supervisor?
Give us some history.
I'm getting old, so the memory's a little fierce. For the record, Barb Gutzler, 5 Russet Lane. We tried in the past with town board rules to add this
Okay.
on here, and then we had so many different items. We tabled the rules and tabled them, so actually it never was
Okay.
in there. I'm glad to see it
Okay.
personally, because as you know, I had 3 town clerks in my short tenure here, and fortunately that had nothing to do with me. But unfortunately, we did have one of these people, not Mr. Paoloni, add things on the clerk's own without, informing us, and I'd find this on here. So it's necessary. But at this point, the bottom line here, to answer your question, no, it never was
Okay.
in the rules. It's a good addition there. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the question would be then, under the town law, my understanding is the supervisor and the town clerk collectively set the agenda. Is that right?
Well, the town board makes its own rules, so whatever.
Can I quote you on
that?
it?
What's that?
Can I quote you on that in the future?
I believe it's section 60, it's actually in the town code, town law, New York town law. So the town board has the authority to make its own rules. And again, one of the things is that a town board can only act convened as a town board.
Right.
So I had, at the last reorg meeting, beginning of this year, there was a discussion at the board regarding, making amendments to the rules. As Barbara said, and Joe knows, town board rules have really been identified as being something that's, they've been deficient for decades. And, that there really needed to be some consensus as to, how to proceed with them. One of the things that, with respect to agenda items, which frequently come up, is application from department heads for budget changes or purchase of equipment or staffing levels, and sometimes a lot of them come in and at the last minute. So that's always been one of the issues where they become somewhat of an issue, and obviously there's always flexibility in there. And then the other issue too is that there are a number of items statutorily that come to the town board from the outside. For example, if someone is denied a FOIL request by statute, the person has the right to appeal the denial, and that goes to the town board. So
Same with
that's
the
something-
ethics charge. If there is an ethics committee, it comes here
Yeah,
without a
so-
sponsor.
Right, so there's certain things that would not necessarily, or should not
Right.
require a sponsor for a town board. But I think that, you could make that certainly the default rule and have exceptions. I had circulated a draft of a rule that a board
Oh, right.
up in,
Yeah.
I want to say Amherst,
Yeah, Amherst, New York.
New York, which I thought was good. I think it was a good starting point. One of the other issues that becomes important regarding recent changes to the open meetings law is that, generally the, agenda items should be available to the public at least 48 hours before the meeting. We have a Monday meeting, so, that would fall in the weekend, but, that's something that our rules are not, I don't think our rules even address things being published on a website, which is now required by the open meetings law.
Which we do. So, yeah, I think we need to look at the town board rules, and perhaps we can put together recommendations, or put together an actual draft, perhaps,
Right.
for the reorg. I also want to make sure that we're not inadvertently preventing someone from bringing to the town board something that could be actionable, right? So right now,
I agree.
the way the town board meetings are set up right now, we have comments on agenda items, and I understand that it's framed that way for a reason. If we're requiring an item to be sponsored by a board member for any discussion, I think we got to be careful to inadvertently create a scenario where someone has a valid issue, but they can't find an avenue to get to the town board, right? So I think we need to look at that as we proceed.
I've got, like, that's what I said, if there's, you want to add, like Mr. Aaron said, exceptions and stuff like that, that's fine, and I'm sure there's going to be some other items we could do.
It's been common practice, though, the last, I'll say, 6 months, where we've been trying to get a sponsor for each one of these, so I think that's what we're trying to do here. You may not be able to do it for everything, but certainly, we want to do as many as possible, and I think that's what we've tried to do, again, over the last 6+ months, where you do get a sponsor, and it's been working out pretty well. We just don't have it in our rules today, so that's
So
what
I
we're
think
trying to do.
we get the proper wording, we have it in our reorg, and there's probably others, and each of the council members should look at it.
Right.
Jim and I have talked some other
Like I said, I'll
things.
circulate the
right.
Amherst.
Okay.
That was the best one that I
Yeah,
saw.
that was a good one.
Yeah,
And it was pretty comprehensive. I mean, one of the things that we've gotten a lot of applications for recently was for, tenancy agreements or petitions to extend the water district.
right.
So.
Yeah,
that's
we've
kind
gotten a
of-
number of those recently.
That's in kind of that, do you want to have that require a sponsor or not? So,
Well, what we don't want to do is make it too complicated, because we'll be
Right,
working on the
right.
meetings forever. I mean, make it as simple as possible, only asking for 1 or 2 ads. We don't need a dissertation on, what we need to do for town rules. It's crazy.
So let's put that on, for our
Reorgs.
reorg meeting for the rules that we operate by.
If we
okay?
can put a section in about the meeting has to be over by midnight, that would be helpful. I'm just saying.
you could, why not 11?
Understood.
Just saying.
Okay.
You
Very
said
good.
after 11, right?
But he's on mountain time, so that's good.
I get up, 4:45, or try to.
But again, certain things like that, or, you can put those in your rules if you choose. I mean,
Okay.
there are municipalities that say, no business will be transacted after, a certain hour.
Let's move on, since we have a number of items to address.
Sure.
Chris, you
Motion
were,
to set the meeting on the
Reorg.
reorg on the January 9th.
Second it.
motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. E-code update, I think we're looking at a workshop in January, February to talk about a variety of code changes, so I think we could just,
So just let me.
Wait.
So this is just a real brief, 1-minute discussion. E-Codes, who curates our code, has an artificial intelligence review process where they will go through your code and they will identify inconsistencies in your language to see that there's, provisions in your street and sidewalk code that don't agree with your zoning code.
do we need that? We already know there's inconsistencies.
Well, no, actually,
Be
I
afraid to
think
see
it would
that.
be worthwhile, because there's a bunch of provisions in here. The other thing that it does in addition to that is, it will look at federal and state statutes and identify what provisions in your law may be superseded by state and federal law. I believe it was, the proposal is there, I think.
Right, it is.
$7,000
Yeah.
to do it. It was a relatively minor cost.
It's, from general code, Joe, town clerk, what's your thoughts on this, since you're the one that deals with the code on a daily basis in many ways?
I don't know how inconsistent the code is, but I thought that's what was being worked on for the last 6 years. That you
Right, and we're going to be doing more,
all
that's,
the local laws were being changed for a variety of matters because of, one thing
Right.
didn't agree with the other. So I think you've already done a lot of that, unless you feel there's more to be done.
I guess this is errors, grammatical, proofread inconsistencies,
Well,
which we know,
right, I
just
mean,
like in
so-
the water and sewer
Well,
code,
for
tremendous.
example, I mean, one of the things they look for is consistent definitions throughout the code. One of the things that kind of plague us is that we may have a definition of collector roads in one section of the code that doesn't agree with the
So
definition of the collector.
instead of acting on that tonight, let us.
No, I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah,
is
let's-
not, I'm just, like I said,
Let's discuss that more when we have more discussion
Right.
on the code in a workshop
So
coming
is
up.
E-code, general code, is it the same company?
Yeah.
Yes, general code, yep. Okay.
All right.
That all right with everyone?
That's fine.
Okay. Let's move on then to our resolutions. The first one is Resolution 2022-146, appointing recreation assistant. Jessica, do you want to discuss that?
So as it stands, in the past, we had a recreation assistant that was shared with the Buildings and Grounds Department. The workload wasn't particularly even. That person really did do a lot more for recreation. I would say we were like a 70-30. At this time, we're working with the 50% recreation assistant. This would hire a person full-time in that position, which is something that, as we see the growth of our programs, our events, and our offerings, would be exceptionally beneficial to the department to really keep us in that forward direction that we've been going.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, so today, is the recreation assistant working full-time for you today or part-time?
Part-time.
So you've got enough stuff to put an additional 50% on there?
Oh, and some more.
I mean, basically, it's full-time, doing almost everything, doesn't do really anything for anybody else.
And so what does that do? Does that free you to do other things in the department?
It frees me to do a little bit more administrative work. It frees me to start implementing some of the programs that we were looking at, like sponsorship opportunities for different events and programs in the future. Some of the park rehabilitation projects that we have been talking about for a while, like Schlott House, Castle Point, the park that Bill will tell us where it goes in the First Ward. All of these things that we'd kind of like to see happen in 2023. There's a lot still to be done at Spook Hill. A lot of that has to do with buildings and grounds, but in terms of design appropriate for children and design appropriate for the use of those facilities, a lot of that really does come through me for those sorts of things.
What's the fiscal impact on this again?
It is currently budgeted in the 20.
Well, the rate on here, Bill, is a lot higher than what's budgeted. It's about $4,700 more than what's budgeted today. And oh, by the way, if you do that, you'll be pretty close to what Jessica makes
Yes.
as the
I believe,
director.
when we did the
So
math
it-
on what is in the budget line, I believe it actually came out to 2155.
It's 21,
21? Okay,
did the math.
Times how many hours are we doing?
35.
So it's full-time, and is it a split-funded position or no? Still,
This
or-
would be a single funded position as a recreation assistant line in the B fund.
Okay. If we are in consensus with the rate, I don't have an objection. If we're not in consensus with the rate, we need to have further discussion.
Yeah.
Can we just- go ahead.
Maybe want to discuss the rate in executive
Please.
session, because
Okay.
I think we may want to have a little bit lower rate.
I think you do. Yep, I know
Right.
exactly what you're talking about.
Right?
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if we can just table it, talk about it in executive
Yes.
session, that's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move
I'll
it.
make a motion to table it.
A motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. Okay. Then Jessica, you...
I was going to say, do we want to
Stay-
do the budget transfer?
Yeah, I might as well, while you're up here, address the two items, okay?
Great. So we'll start with the one that was actually in the packet, which is a budget.
And the board members have both the
Both of them,
copies of
yeah.
it, so...
We'll start with the one that is actually a request from fund balance. The one that is a request from fund balance pertains to a payout during retirement in our department. When a member of our department retired, that person, as a Teamsters member, was entitled to be paid out for accruals. That's in the contract. We were obligated to do that. And by the decision of the comptroller's office, that actually comes out of that person's original salary line. So when you fill that position with a new person, you've reduced the amount of money in that line already by the payout that that person got when they retired. So that left us with a deficit in that line for our senior center assistant.
So this is the $30,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens. When people
Right.
retire, this happens, I'll move it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion,
So is this going to be 2022 175?
I don't know, Joe will set it.
It's a 22.
Well, it says 172. This is
172 here.
This
but-
is 172.
Yeah, I think this one's 172, but then
So,
we did...
I'll second it.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, this is 2022 budget, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, there-
So, I mean, I think that's what going forward, I don't know if it's in the budget or not, but, payouts for terminal leave should probably not be,
So we should have the controller
Should
take a
not
look
be
at
there.
that and see
I
if
mean, that should be a
I
separate
mean, we've been,
line.
he's been looking at it, because
Yeah.
we.
Speaking of,
There he is.
right on cue.
Watching your video.
He must have been watching in the hallway.
Yeah.
Did you want him to
He
step
He has
up
no
and
idea what we're talking
explain
about,
the-
though, so.
explain the
Frederick,
process?
we're talking about the process with respect to when someone retires and how we treat it financially, because Jessica needs to do a $30,000 fund balance transfer in light of, the past practice. And so what you just stepped into was our discussion of Frederick, getting Frederick's opinion on this process.
Yeah, so we really don't have ideally we should be setting up an account or a reserve for that matter. But we really don't because, the budget is tight. So when somebody retires, we just hit their salary line.
That's what it's coming into, 101.
Yes.
So is that
So-
not appropriate, Jim?
No, I don't necessarily disagree. Theoretically, there may be, I know there's a provision, I believe, to establish a reserve fund for vacation payouts and other things under general municipal law, which I don't think the town has ever done.
No.
So we
That's,
should,
that's another, so what you could do is you could fund,
right.
as a, instead of a capital reserve fund, this
So let's have Frederick just look into it, report
Yeah.
back to us with a possible process.
You also don't necessarily anticipate these retirements,
No.
I mean, especially in the last few years, so.
But what you can do is allocate, like example, you put 30,000, so maybe you have 30,000 in a couple different funds. This way you kind of anticipate it.
Good. I mean, this is for sick, vacation, personal, whatever, right?
Exactly.
This is to pay the person their accrued time per the contract, right?
right.
Right.
And that's what we are obligated to do. Again, could it be cleaner not coming into the 101 line? Maybe if we had time before tonight, but right now, we're at the end of the year, we need to make this person whole.
Yeah, and that's what Jessica's
That's all.
purpose is.
So I have no objection.
Well, I think what happened, right, is that the person was paid out.
Yes.
So what winds up happening is you pay it out to the person who's retiring, and then you have a shortfall for the person
Salary.
who.
Right, because this is really two people, right? It's
Oh, okay, I see what you're-
two people,
Yes.
Okay.
so it's not just one, it's two.
I get it. We need to do this to finish the fiscal year properly,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's do what we got to do.
So motion, second?
Yeah, Bill, motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Jessica, talk about the other one. This is one, Joe, that we'll need a
Yes.
number on because this is for authorizing of a number of
This-
line items.
They all have numbers.
Not this one.
Not this one. This was not, this is what we added to the agenda.
Okay. Then I'll give the number.
Yeah, you give it a number later on. So Jessica, why don't you describe
Sure. So
this?
throughout the year, as we end programs or an event passes, things like that, I always keep a ledger of what additional funds are left, so that when we have the opportunity to add things to other events or to other programs, I know exactly how much is left that could be transferred from some of these concluded programs to fund these other things. So this is just a breakdown of funds from lines to make up the difference.
So
in-
this is all stuff contained within your budget, it's just different line items.
Correct. We have the authority to move within certain budget lines, but not, we have to come to the board for other ones.
So there's nothing coming out of fund balance?
Absolutely.
This is all within the department. I move it.
Correct. So I'll move it.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any
do have
nays?
one request, though, that I've asked you for. I want to see the last 3 or 4 years' worth of community total expenses, please.
Yes. Yes.
What was our net revenue from community then? You know?
I can tell you from the rides, it was around 11,000. I would have to, if you gave me about 2 minutes, I can
No,
pull
that's
it up.
fine, that's great.
The rest of it,
Rides for that, but the costs were far greater, as you've seen.
Yeah.
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 So it's,
Any revenue is good revenue.
yeah.
on that event.
Yeah, there is also vendor revenue, but that's what I would have to pull up for you.
That's $11,000 that in the past, years ago, prior to the newest model that Jessica has assisted with developing, we had no revenue.
Right.
So that's gravy as far as I'm concerned.
Jim, do you have, Resolution 151, do you have anything that we can act on?
No,
This is-
not at this time.
So you want to table that
Table
too,
it
Jim?
again?
Yeah, keep it on the table.
I'll make a motion that we table Resolution 151.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passed. Jim, any idea when we can get that?
Hopefully, I'll have something for the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there a point where we just decide we're not going to move forward? Because we've been tabling this for quite some time now.
Had some difficulty getting an appraiser.
Okay.
So they've been pretty busy. But I will reach out.
Okay, next item is Resolution 2022-170, resolution appointing full-time account clerk in Controller Department. Frederick, you want to just briefly summarize? I think the board is aware of the position and, is generally okay, but.
Yeah, so we've had a vacancy in the accounting department since May, when we lost our account clerk typist. And initially, Dutchess County had given us a provisional list in which we appointed somebody, but they declined. So those people did the exam, the results came out, and now they gave us the official list. We contacted from the top to the bottom, and some gave excuses like their car broke down or is too far, some are not responding. So we only interviewed one candidate, and we believe that because he falls within the rule of three, we believe that he's capable of doing the job. So we'd like you to appoint him
So this
that he
person would
can.
start December 13th?
Sorry?
This person would start December 13th?
No, he has to, because he's working now, he has to give 2 weeks. So we'll let him know tomorrow. If he's appointed, then he can give 2 weeks to his current employer.
You should also change the name on here for number 3. Point number 3,
Yes.
change the name.
Yeah, that's an error.
It says Judith Seabreeze instead of Julian Price.
Right.
Right.
Oh, that's, yep. Yeah,
So
so
2 weeks?
his name is, Julian Price.
So what's the date?
We'll talk to him. If he's approved tonight, we'll talk to him tomorrow and see when he
Okay.
can start, because we want him as soon as possible. But we can appoint him from, tomorrow, as Jim suggested. Then he can say, okay, I'll be available within a week or 2 weeks. But we were
mean, if
thinking
you-
the earliest is
If you
most probably
authorize him to start tomorrow and he starts 2 weeks from now,
That's fine.
still
that's
fine, yes.
It's just you can't authorize him to start 2 weeks from now and he starts tomorrow.
Yes,
And if he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid.
right.
That's fine.
So most likely, if he has to give 2 weeks, so maybe January, 2nd.
So we're authorizing it starting tomorrow,
Yes,
and then within a
Yep.
2-week period, the person will come in.
right.
Okay. Is this covered in your budget?
Yes. We are using the line from the person who left. We still have money there.
Okay.
No, I have another question for him.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I guess the other thing is, what about, and I don't know what the responsibilities are, but as you know, we have somebody else doing the escrow accounts today. Are you entertaining taking over the escrows?
So once he comes in, we look at everything
Just something to
together.
consider, because I know you have a budget
Yes.
line there,
Yeah.
but we
It's
should
something to
consider, because it really
consider.
belongs under you and not where it's being done
Well,
today.
well, I believe it's two departments that work closely together, because it's not just a matter of posting numbers here and there, debits and credits. You really have to understand where these projects are coming from and where they're heading to. So I believe that two departments must work closely together for that escrow accounting to work.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Thank you, Frederick.
Thanks. Thank you for the sweat house, by the way.
Aren't you up next?
That's on.
173?
I'm going to turn the air,
No, the next one is the Fernia,
Yeah.
the Fernia bond.
Steve, we're going to turn the air conditioner on. Look, right there. There it is.
Next one's 171.
Oh, 171, okay.
2022-171, resolution accepting Fernia Court and related easements for Fernia subdivision together with maintenance agreements secured by letter of credit. Jim, you want to just briefly describe this? We have the materials here.
The Fernia Court is on New Hackensack, just, I guess, south of the airport, off of New Hackensack Road. The Fernia subdivision was approved back in 2019, and the road was constructed. I believe all the lots have been sold, and the town engineer and the highway superintendent have reviewed the road. There's a certification from the town engineer that he believes it's been constructed in accordance with the plans. There's a certification from the engineer for the developer that it's consistent with the plans. And there's a security agreement here. There's a 2-year maintenance agreement that we're accepting. It's secured by a letter, an irrevocable, there's actually an existing letter of credit from Salisbury Bank, which is being reduced to the amount of $52,128, which covers the road as well as the drainage easements and the stormwater pond that's associated with it for 2 years. And then at the end of 2 years, provided that it's in acceptable form, then the maintenance guarantee would expire, and upon acceptance, the highway department will then maintain the road, plow it, and there would be, regular deliveries of mail and things like that on a private road. Usually the post office doesn't deliver the mail. Sometimes UPS and FedEx or Amazon do, sometimes they don't. So we have the deeds for the road that were submitted at the time of the subdivision. They provided a title report and title insurance. And on accepting the road, then I will cause the deed for the road and the easements to be filed with the county clerk's office, showing that the town has then taken them over.
Where's this one?
It's right off of
I've seen it.
New Hackensack. It's just above Quiet Acres,
Oh, by the airport.
right by the airport.
Okay.
So we're all set with that?
So everything is good.
Sorry?
So we're all set with them?
Yeah.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next item will be Resolution 2022-173, resolution authorizing budget transfers for various town departments. Frederick, did...
So this resolution is by various departmental heads to move monies from some of their own lines into other lines, but which they could not personally do, and some of them are straightforward. I don't have that one in front of me, but I believe that they're all from one line to the other.
Right.
I don't believe there's any from fund balance.
Not in these ones.
Not
Yeah,
on
so
these,
it's-
no.
it's just
Yeah,
a
and
matter
these
of-
are,
Yeah.
for the public, for equipment repairs, deputy
Right.
assessor, the court, and I told the justices they did not need to be here for that since that's
Right.
approved.
Right.
And then one for compost machine rental for
Right, the $7
highway,
talked about.
to bring down that big mound of.
So I did have a question for Frederick. In the 13,978, I think you saw my email. Some of that is related to escrow, so you have that under your budget.
Okay.
So do you need to transfer it to your budget because you're in 1315-103A?
Yes,
So it's really not 13,978 you're going to transfer, because some of that's going to, in other words, it's not going to all go to, from line 3620-106B. Some of that's going to come from you to pay that, correct?
yes, for the
Okay.
escrow
So
clerk.
it's something less
all
than
of
that.
it
My point
going-
is, I think you have about $6,000 in your budget for that, so I don't know if 6,000 is the right amount to transfer, but you should use whatever is in your escrow account, because part of that payment is for escrow, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that, if you make that change, if you look at that later on,
Yeah,
just let me know what it is, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have second. Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Next item is 2022-174, resolution authorizing the controller's proposed budget transfers. Frederick?
Yeah, so in addition to the departmental heads requesting for their own transfers, there are other lines that do not fall within particular departments, and these are the ones that I was focusing on. If you look at the list, the last five are basically from state retirement to Social Security or Medicare, so MTA payroll or unemployment, so those are easy. I think the ones that are a little bit difficult are the ones that are coming from fund balance. So the first one there is for Central Hudson. We all know that their bills have been quite high, and as we speak right now, we are at $82,000, which we have paid January to October bills. So we need about $9,000 for the remaining 2 months, and that's why I'm requesting $20,000.
Understandable.
The next one is for HVAC maintenance. Last year, we hired a contractor for the rental of air conditioning units, and this contractor, when he submitted his bill, he didn't give us the impression that that was just part of the bill. We thought that that was everything. So we paid $24,000. I came before the board, and then you were able to approve monies from fund balance to cover the HVAC.
So is it, I mean,
Little
is
did you
HVAC,
know,
is it working now? I mean, it seems like it's so damn hot in here tonight.
This is a
It's not
line item
working.
that comes up every month, it seems like.
yes.
Could you, at some point, let us know our cost
Yes,
for
I
the
can tell you
HVAC
right now.
system in this building? Because I think we'll be very disgusted. But I know this has to be done, and it never ends. It's a money.
Right. So last year, for example, 2021, we budgeted $25,000 for that line. Little did we know we were going to request an additional $105,000 last year. We ended up with spending $130,000. This year, 2022, we added $5,000 to the 25 for the $30,000 budgeted. So far, we have approved an additional $92,000. So we are at $122,000. But we have these two remaining bills, one for $25,000 for the RTU units or rentals, which we did a while back. And then there's also some ductwork that was done, cleaning, atomizing ductwork for $7,000. So I need about $33,000. And I think that should be able to clear or pay all the remaining bills, unless something happens between now and December.
So if I look at what we budgeted for 2023, we budgeted $60,000. You're telling me we're already going to be on a shortfall on that?
No, this is
Significant shortfall.
Yeah.
So how do we correct that? Steve, is that you budgets that? The HVAC maintenance?
I operate from that budget. It's part of the town hall budget area.
Okay.
But there's issues with the HVAC, both here and at the EMS building. This particular thing that he's talking about was when we lost the system over there, And these were the temporary units that we brought in while it was being repaired. And I had thought they had been paid, but apparently not.
Don't we have a maintenance contract with them? I mean, a general
We
maintenance?
do,
is-
but the whole system was not installed properly on either location. And that's the issue that we're facing right now. And we're keeping track of our expenses, and we'll be presenting them to the attorney. And you know, see if there's something we can reclaim.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we move 174.
Actually, I have a question. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm looking at the engineer line, so I see we have money we got to transfer. So Frederick, what I'm worried about is, I don't see anything here on the attorney for the A or B fund. So are we going to have to transfer money at some point in time in January or February, and how big is it going to be?
Well, I think.
'Cause I think we're exposed there.
It's because looking at what we added on the budget right now, I mean, we are at 130,000, and so far we have only spent about 30,000. So remember, I came before you and you said, no, this is just too much money in the budget unless we really see what is the actual. And you and I, sat together and looked at the bills. So far, we have received bills up to June, July. And even if you add those, it's still not,
So there's
taking
still
us
money
up
left
to.
over in the budget,
So we
but
may
you're only
not-
through June or July?
Sorry?
So you have money left over in the budget, but your only actuals are only through June or July?
Yes, because the bills are coming slow.
I think we received bills now for September, and they're undergoing
And some of
extensive
them
review.
are being returned, back and forth.
Various issues.
Okay.
So wouldn't you just encumber, right? It wouldn't become paid out of the 2023.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So,
That's what I'd rather do if we can.
right, yeah. So whatever we anticipate as additional bills should be encumbered post December 31st, and then paid from the encumbrance, correct?
Well, we usually the encumbrance process works when you have, purchase orders. But here is a case where we don't really get purchase orders from the professionals. We actually get the bills. So we can only estimate the bills based on what we are seeing. We can average them and say, okay, we have received 6 months of bills, and then say, okay, average is this. What do we anticipate? But you really cannot encumber something without a purchase order.
Well, so the way that, and
Unless-
opposes to Jim, the way that I've worked at it in the corporate world is that, you get the bills presumably up through November, and then you get an estimate from the law firm as to
Okay,
what they've
yeah,
put in
yeah.
for their hours, although it may not be billed to January. I think based on getting that estimate, then
Right.
we can encumber.
Yes,
you know, Right?
if you get something.
Yeah, I mean,
Jim?
in the past, what we've done is we've billed through, like December 20th rather than the 31st, something like that. I mean, we could do that as well.
And,
No, I
but
think
give
we're-
them an estimate,
Right.
ballpark, and we
Right.
can be on the high side, and then, as we judge them
Right.
down, that will be
The
fine.
controller can encumber, right?
Yeah.
It's not a town board action, correct?
No.
Right,
Yes.
so that's what needs to happen. We should not
Right.
be intermingling two
Correct.
fiscal years.
Correct.
I'm going to shut the air conditioner off now. Just for, my feet are cold, I got that.
Al, do you have any other questions, or any other board member questions?
No, I'm good with this. The only question I had was street lighting for 9,000. I don't know how that happened. Where did the street, how'd that?
Yeah, so that is the line we use for our street lights.
That's a general street lighting, right?
Yes.
So Route
yeah.
9.
Right, so
That's
we
general
have,
street.
Well, it's the ones, we have a.
Route
number-
9, Osborne, main thoroughfares that are not within
Well, yeah,
districts.
or some individual intersections.
Right.
That are
Well,
not,
like the roundabout?
right.
Anything not in a
Roundabout.
district.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
No.
So how did it go up $9,000? Because we switched them all to LED, so how is it now more expensive?
Well, I know we added more.
Right,
there's
but
some more
none of this
that-
ever adds up to me.
Well, I mean, the other issue is, and I don't know, that's, so those some lights, and I don't know, Frederick, we can look at this. Some lights are built on what's called a tariff, and you just pay a flat rate. Others are built on usage.
Right.
So it depends, and I'm not sure frankly how our, whether they mix or match, because the tariff, some of the tariff includes, in addition to usage, it includes maintenance of the light head.
Well, the Cobra heads came
Right.
off, right? I mean, I know way too much about
Right, I
streetlights.
know.
So the Cobra heads came off, and we passed a resolution a number of years ago to replace them with the LED heads. We had the wider ones for certain intersections, the smaller ones, because you don't want to light up people's front yards. I get it. Somehow now it costs us more money after doing all that. I mean, come on, this is crazy.
So it's, and we could, we could look at it, whether or not, again, it may not necessarily, the problem is it's not necessarily built based on usage.
Well, of course, it wouldn't make sense.
The reason is they're not meeting.
Right.
So-
I mean, I would argue that the Route 9 corridor, could be lit a little better, but I would certainly want to do a cost analysis. I'm talking from McFarland to Smithtown. Now we have all these businesses that are there, and it's in the dark, but that's another conversation for another day. Okay, I'm good with this.
Okay. Al?
Move it.
Move it. Second.
Move.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
I will move the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next item is purchase of highway equipment. This is $35,000 that Mike needs.
The one-ton
Yeah, right, for that roller, vibrating roller.
What about this, there's a purchase in
Well, we'll
here.
come to that,
Is
next.
that in this or no?
No, that's not in that.
Okay.
Because that's a total of 300 some.
So I'll move that we move the money from the accounts Mike has suggested here, and the B fund, DB fund over to DB fund, so 51,110.403 DB to 5130.200 DB, and all the other corresponding ones that total up to 35,000. Again, no impact from a fund balance perspective, so I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
Just on the question, so how do we end up in a position where we're going from DB back to B?
No,
No, they're all DB,
They're all DB, from one DB number
one
to the
DB to
other.
another.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay, yeah, I'm good with that.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Okay, the next item, as I mentioned at the outset, Steve, this is your item that didn't get on the agenda until we amended it. Steve, want to talk your budget line adjustment, right? For the 71100422 to line B. That's that's the one that you were asking about earlier, $2,000. This is the line needing supplement is new.
Right.
Okay.
When accounting took over the voucher system, I learned that our basic supplies that we use throughout the department were randomly being charged to park lines. So in order to better track and better manage the expenses, I asked Frederick to put together the supply line, and we initially opened it with $500. And here at the end of the year, once I started funneling what should be to go into to that line, we're $2,000 short. And I have moved that from, I don't have the assignments in front of me.
Yeah, as I said,
think one of the
it's,
apartment
you're
lines.
proposing line B 7110-0422 to line B 7110-0203.
And it's a line that had a surplus in it, and I asked to have it moved into the supply line.
So there's no fund balance impact.
No,
So we don't have a resolution for that, we're just
Yeah,
on the floor?
yeah.
I make the
That's this
motion that we make that transfer.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Steve, while you're up here, why don't you go talk about the replacement of the automated bay doors?
right. I've mentioned at a previous meeting that we've been having problems with the door openers over the EMS building. They're original to the building. They're obsolete. There's no longer parts made for them. So every time there is an issue now, we have to kind of Band-Aid it together. So I asked about having the openers updated, and the cost is $4,900. And I'd like to have that done then, so that they have a reliable door opener over there. That's for both bays.
Where's that coming out of?
I think it would have to be fund balance going into the .450 line.
Is that A fund balance?
Yeah.
B.
B?
Well, it should be A, right?
And I think that the 1620.450 is A, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be A fund. I have no objection. The garage doors have to be able to open and close. We have security concerns on that building, being that it's police and EMS, and the openers are 25 years old. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know how they lasted this long.
Yeah, well, with a bunch of Band-Aids.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Steve, you also have remodeled the EMS toilet system. How's that going?
I have a quote here for you on that.
I'm
Okay.
afraid to ask.
Yeah, it's not, it's
How much is that?
$23,800.
What does that entail?
We're going to be putting a below-grade sump pump in, which is also an emaciator, and then gravity-fed toilets on both our side of the restroom and the EMS side will feed into this sump, and when it hits a certain level, it will trigger it and evacuate it out and pump it out to a line, plastic line. It eliminates the need to use the cast iron in the floor, which is in very poor condition.
So it's a new line.
Yes.
What about the state police?
It'll be
side?
overhead since it's pumped, and much easier to install. The alternative is to cut up the floor the entire length of the building like we did on the trooper side.
So it goes up and over, and then how does it get out?
It'll enter on this end of the building. There's a vertical chase that is a vent, and we can tie into that runs into the septic tank.
Oh, okay. And the state police situation was resolved in a different way, that we don't want to go with this one. Right.
Well, that was years ago, and that required cutting the floor the entire length of the building. And now that we've done the renovation, where the walls and stuff are, it makes it almost prohibitive to do that. Where this can be run up above the suspended ceiling, much easier and less expensive. But it's still, I mean, it's $2,800. I could only get 2 contractors to come look at the job, and one walked away from it once he learned of the concrete work that was involved. So this is really the sole estimate that I was able to get for it.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we need a solution. We can't have paramedics using a porta-john. That's
No.
what's happening. I don't want to spend $23,000, off the floor here, but I think if we have fund balance to cover this, I think we need a solution. We can't keep putting porta-johns over there. That's
Right.
crazy.
That was a temporary solution until we came up with this for you.
When will they work on it right away?
Once I learned of the issue, I ordered the pump through our account just to get that on the way. I expect that to be here anytime. Once the pump is here, then I hope that, they'll start immediately once the pump is available.
All right, I'll move that we authorize from a fund balance the amount indicated by Steve, which was how much?
$23,800.
For the purposes of finding a solution or executing a solution for it's one toilet? Or
It's 2 toilets.
For 2 toilets.
Do you
One's-
actually have the paperwork for this?
Yeah, I had submitted it, but apparently.
Give it to Joe.
Just,
I was going to give that to Joe at the end here.
yeah, you want to just pass it around?
Yeah.
See
I
it.
just want to see it. 23,800?
So the motion is to authorize $23,500. That's
800.
800.
I'm batting 1,000 here. $23,800 from a fund balance to correct the toilet issue on the Town of Wappinger Emergency Services Facility, EMS, and town side.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Steve, while you're up here, talk about job titles.
Had a meeting with the supervisor and the delegate from the union and discussed what I would like to do here as far as the job title changes. Everyone there was in agreement to change the existing laborer title to a groundskeeper title. And with that, I showed you documents beforehand that the average pay rate throughout the county for that is $20.50. The union delegate said that is where we would start with that, and then I proposed that we have one member move into what's called a groundskeeper 2 position, which would kind of make him a mowing foreman, and he would be in charge of seeing that the mowing operation is done correctly and runs smoothly, and report any issues to me that would need to be addressed. Otherwise, that way I can focus my attention on other issues. And that would be $1 an hour increase in the pay rate for that position.
What is it today?
I'm sorry?
What is the pay rate today?
That would be $21.50 for the groundskeeper 2.
So groundskeeper 1 is $20.50 and the other is $21.50?
And these titles have been also reviewed with Dutchess
Right.
County.
Yeah, the county sent these to us as the ones that best fit what we're trying to do here.
I prefer to wait on this one if we can. I just
Yeah.
want to have a little further discussion on this one. How many people are you planning on doing? 1 and 1?
I'm sorry?
How many are you planning on doing? 1 and 1?
Well, I have 3 laborer positions right now.
And you're only going to do two groundskeepers?
Well, no, I wanted to abolish the laborer position and make them groundskeepers.
Right.
The problem that I've been running into was there was some discrepancy between my interpretation of the laborer job title and HR, and according to HR, the work that I was asking them to do was outside the laborer job title. So this cleans that up.
Yeah,
and
we
I can have
confirm
them
that with Dutchess County.
do the work that I
And
need
these
to
are all
get
your
done.
seasonal?
I'm sorry?
Are these all seasonal
No,
or no?
there's still, I believe we still have 2 seasonal positions that would remain at laborers.
Okay.
And that would just be for the seasonal mowing. This is to be able to repurpose the mowing crew during the winter months and do some of the building repairs and stuff, improvements that I'd like to do. Where beforehand, it was questionable whether they were supposed to be doing it under that laborer job title.
So how you want to
Yeah, I
defer
think-
this for further discussion?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Steve?
I believe that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Steve.
Other item, Jim, Robert Macho. Yeah.
Yes, so with respect to...
As I mentioned at the beginning, we have this issue.
As we noted at the beginning, Patasana Court, the town accepted a 2-year maintenance bond on December 14th, 2020. And the highway superintendent, and the town engineer had reviewed it, reviewed the condition of Patasana Court, and they had agreed that the road was in sufficiently good condition, that the maintenance bond could be returned to the developer. So this was a cash deposit in the amount of $34,777.60, and I believe there was also a email regarding some post-construction escrows for the road, which I think there's a balance that's also due to the developer.
Right. And the building department, Barbara specifically has reviewed it, but she's out for foot surgery, so could not attend today.
What about Mike
Yes,
Shannon
Mike's signed
as
off.
well.
Yep. So I agree this is appropriate. There's another one, but we're not going to be discussing that tonight.
So what's the total, 34,776, you said?
34,777.60.
Okay. Got it. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the refund since Mike has signed off on it and Barbara has signed off on this.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next two items are proclamations that I had provided each of you. In light of the time, I'd say we don't read these, but we vote to put them into the record and to distribute them accordingly. The first one would be the proclamation, proclamation applauding the United States men's national soccer team, USMT, and team captain Tyler Adams for proudly representing the United States of America in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Okay, motion is second. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. The next item is a resolution in memory of Joseph Joey Coronado. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. The next item was section 10, Roman numeral 10. I think that's now moot because of our, adjournment of the public meeting. This was the receipt. It really is recognizing the receipt of applications and referrals, so it required no action.
With respect to that, just for the record, there's a determination that two items were not included in the application as required by the existing section, and with the board's permission, we will draft a letter with Barbara Roberti identifying those deficiencies to the applicant.
Move to authorize the attorney of the town to do so.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. Next item is Resolution 2022-175. That's the acknowledgement of the correspondence log.
Move.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passed. So a motion to go into executive session. We have personnel and contract issue.
Go ahead.
Could you were talking about some other equipment. Do you want to talk
Oh,
about?
The
Oh,
Vector.
that's the Vector.
Yeah, what are we doing? Do we have any idea what it, is it a
You know,
request? Is it something to look at?
This is a request, we had requested, Mike to provide further information on it. What this is providing the information on the total amount less the trade-in value or the bidding value of that, coming up to, around $370-some thousand, dollars. When you look at that,
It's
whether or not we.
$479,000
Yeah,
and you get
correct.
$125,000 trade-in value.
Right. If you look at the total of it, you're talking about, that 470-some thousand, right? And so the trade-in value brings it back down below 400,000.
Yep.
So, I don't know if we
Close
need
to
to
the
act on it
350.
tonight.
So,
or-
my question is, for the board, is if the board is considering it, should I reach out to bond counsel to have them adopt
Yes,
or draft a
Yes.
bond resolution?
Sure.
yes.
I guess the other question is, are there other pieces of equipment that might be considered as well? So,
I don't know, but this, I see the price point is, it's only for 7 days, the price given, so I would find out about that as well.
okay.
We
And
got
it was on a Sourcewell contract.
Correct.
Yeah,
we got to pay close attention to rates too here.
yeah.
That's the other thing.
Okay, so we'll defer discussion on that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so motion to go.
Before we go to executive session, if I can just say, I think we would be remiss if we didn't say anything about Joe Coronado. Joe served this town and this community and this county for decades, not only in public service, but as a citizen advocate through his very often animated letters to the editor. He definitely deserves a mention above and beyond the proclamation, I believe. He served
Sure.
this town as a council member. I believe he was on the board when this town hall was constructed, right? Yeah, and was involved with basically laying the bricks for where we sit right now. So we appreciate his service from that capacity. He also later served as the legislative aide for a time here at some point in the last 15 years, where he assisted the town board with our duties. No one will ever forget his tenure on the Wappinger Central School District Board, which was certainly an advocate for the taxpayer. And I just want to express my personal condolences to his wife and his family. Unfortunately, my dad attended the funeral mass today. I was unable to attend. There was no wake, as far as I know. So, you know, we have paused our deliberations right now to recognize his dedication to this town. So.
And I had put the flag at half-mast, you know, until the funeral service today.
I certainly would have regretted not pausing the deliberations for Joe and Coronado just for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I knew Joe for quite a number of years as well, as you did, Bill, so through various different organizations, things like that. Also, you know, as a councilman and a county legislator, as you had expressed before, he did a great job. He was good, confident. You know, I could share things with him. He had a lot of wealth and knowledge, so I was very honored to be able to serve and work with Joe. So he will be very sadly missed.
Thank you.
Did you want to take a couple seconds, moment of silence? Or?
We should probably stand for a moment of silence.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then with respect to Tyler Adams, I mean, what hasn't been said already, this individual is an inspiration not only for our youth in this town, not only for those that identify as minorities in this town, but I will never forget his intellectual articulation in response to the Iranian state reporter, who in my opinion was simply trying to play mind games with him. And he responded in such a diplomatic and appropriate way. I felt very proud that he was from our town and fellow alumni from Ketchum High School. So what a proud moment for our community to witness his success. And I have a feeling this is just the beginning of his success.
I have to say, I watched it over Thanksgiving in Guadeloupe, which is all French. So I'm the only English-speaking person in the room with 100 French guys, and they were all very impressed with the USA team, which says a lot.
Yeah.
So they don't like saying anything good about the United States. So that was impressive.
He did us proud.
Yes, he did.
Very good. Motion to go into executive session for the purpose of personnel issue and
I'll move it.
contract.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Seeing none, the motion passes. Thank you.